Welcome everybody to the Town of Waterboro Planning Board meeting for March 19th, 2025. Angela, can we start with roll call?
Rick Madruga.
Here.
James Farias.
Here.
Rebecca Higgins.
Here.
Diane Gray.
Here.
It appears Stacy is unable to attend this evening.
Okay. Next on the agenda is public hearing, which we don't have. Next, old business, which we also don't have. Next is new business. Zoning change request, Steve Everett, FA zone to 8R zone. Welcome, sir.
Thanks. Again, sorry to drag you out for this, but since I'm the only one on the agenda tonight. But a little background, I've been surveying in the town forever, it seems like 1990. And every time, not every time, but the majority of my clients in the farm and agriculture or forest and agriculture zone, they're always asking me questions like, how come my house has to be so far back? Why do I need to be way over here? I mean, I've got 5 acres here. And I said, well, it's the way it's zoned. And I think I get a lot of questions like that. And so people are kind of like, you know, they're thinking that that zone is pretty darn restrictive. And as it states in the letter here, I attempted a zone change in the past, and I know it's not an easy task. And I know it may require an update to the comprehensive plan, and that's a big ordeal. That's 2-3 years, possibly more, to get something like that across. So I was brainstorming to think, okay, how can I bring this before the town? And first I brought it to the Selectmen, and you know, they just said, oh, let the planning board deal with this. They just passed it along. There was virtually no discussion. My initial intent was to get an article on the town warrant. And I think that's the best way to ferret out what the town people are feeling. Because you have a public hearing in here, and a couple people show up. So a public hearing, to me, is for this type of request is not the way to go. So I was thinking, okay, maybe the selectmen, they think, yeah, do an article, we'll put it on the warrant and see what happens. Well, they said no. So they passed it along to you, and so I'm here to discuss pros and cons or the proper way to get an article in the warrant. Do I need to have a petition? Do I need to have signatures? I guess that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I want to know what process I need to go through that the town will accept to at least get it on the warrant.
Yeah. Now, is your proposal that we would just get rid of that zone, that everything would look the same, basically? Or I guess I'll rephrase my question, is the feedback that you're getting because of the total zoning meeting the number of acres needed to build in that zone, or is it more those people that are okay with the fact that there's 5 acres to build, but there's setbacks or things like that?
Well, it's setbacks.
Okay.
It's minimum lot size, which, you know, that really hasn't been as much of an issue. But
Sure.
if you've got somebody with a little less than 10 acres and they want to sell a lot to their kid or something,
Yeah.
they can't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking ahead. I mean, I don't think development pressure is going away, and I'm just thinking this might be a really easy way to open the town up for easier development. And as you know, Diane would certainly know this, the cost of a buildable lot is at a point where, you know, there's a lot of people that are looking for extra money. And this would allow their property to be more valued for division. And I don't think, I mean, yeah, there would be more development, there would be a little more infrastructure, but the applicant is going to pay for all that, and the town doesn't necessarily have to accept the roads. So I don't see it putting a big burden on the town as far as a whole bunch more roads, and, you know, it's going to cost us X number of dollars. the requirements in the two different zones are pretty darn similar. I mean, people that own large tracts of forest land, there's large tracts in the A&R zone. So it doesn't seem to me that would make a big difference. And I think the reason that zone was developed, it's a long time ago, I think of Willis Lord and his farm, and they put a lot of emphasis on forest and agriculture because they wanted to make sure to maintain that space for farming. Well, I'm sorry, but farming has virtually gone away in this town. So it would just be replacing the forest and agriculture zone with the residential agriculture zone, or the AR zone. Just same requirements. It would just, the F&A would just kind of go away. And I would really like to hear negatives on this, because I really can't think of any at this point in time. And I haven't scrutinized the comprehensive plan yet to see how that would fit in, or would it violate the comprehensive plan. I know zoning changes, are tricky, and they're required this, that, and the other, but this is kind of a replacement. This is not, it's a change, but no boundaries are going to change. It's just going to expand, or just change it to the AR zone.
I don't know what the process is. I mean, in my mind, I think of the people who probably may have purchased land in that area, knowing the boundaries that they had, and that if we were to just turn around and change that, how is that fair to the existing landowners who don't?
Well, you're not making it more restrictive, and it's going to be their choice, because they're the landowner, whether they go ahead and utilize that advantage or not.
Don't they have choice today, though? I mean, can't they come for a variance in the zone?
They can, but it's kind of hard to do.
Not impossible, though.
Not impossible, no, not at all.
They have to go to the appeals board, and it has to be proved a hardship in order to
I was gonna
grant a
say,
variance.
yeah, it's not an easy task from what I've been told.
No.
As far as process goes, the biggest thing is that any zoning change or zoning ordinance change needs to be in alignment with the comprehensive plan. That's the number one thing. And the comprehensive plan kind of needs to set the precedent that, the community has come out in support of the comprehensive plan, right? It's been voted on and adopted, and it's supposed to set the vision for the town. So the ordinance changes need to reflect movement towards that vision. So I think looking more into that is an important next step. As far as possible consequences, the valuation of the land and the taxpayer assessments could change if you're
Of course they would.
yeah, if you're changing the zone, and especially because the density is quite different between the two, that could be a big impact. The other thing I would say is that it is a big change because it's a large area, so even though the suggestion is to change that zone to a zone that the town is already familiar with, there still might be areas within that zone that makes sense for it to stay. Maybe there's only certain areas that make sense to change. Maybe, it's some of the regulations within the district are no longer appropriate rather than the whole district itself. Maybe there's a need for changes for more than just this district. And again, we would look to the comprehensive plan for that. And I think it is difficult to make large-scale changes if it's not coming directly from the comprehensive plan.
So who owns the comprehensive plan?
Typically, I believe.
Was that what we
it's
just
a
had the
committee.
committee for? And yeah, right?
And there's at least by state law, one public hearing as part of the comp plan. Almost every community does like 2, 3 public hearings.
Right.
I'm not sure, since I wasn't with Waterboro at the time, what that looked like for your current plan.
there was any,
But there was probably
Oh, yeah, there were.
surveys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think they just
Yeah.
got changed a lot, the dates got changed a few times.
Yeah, there were probably surveys, there might have been like an open house. I would need to,
When was the last time the comprehensive plan?
No, Charter Commission.
Updated.
That was charged, yeah.
The
Let's
comp
see.
plan,
I wanna
hasn't
say-
been changed since it came in.
The comprehensive plan has not?
it hasn't
I
been.
thought it was updated about 10 years ago.
I think it's,
Then it's probably,
it is due, and there's also legislation that's probably gonna pass this session that will change how comp plans are done. So it's kind of a question of timing to me as
Sure.
well, for
Yeah.
the sake of the town's resources.
Right.
But I wanted to say it was 2018 or let's see.
Was it your
I
mom?
think it was
Oh,
before
2015.
Tom Marshall was our town
Diane was
planner.
on too.
Yeah, it was
So that wasn't
2015.
that long, yeah. Gosh,
So
it
it's
was
10
10
years.
years.
10 years,
Yeah, 10 years.
Yeah.
just like that.
It was like a month ago, you know.
I'm not in disagreement that, there are things that could be cleaned up within the different districts. I think that's totally true. I think it's more a question of what is right to update without having a comprehensive plan that specifically indicates the desires for the zones. And from what I can see, the future land use plan focuses more on like the village areas and the corridors. It doesn't have as much direction about changes outside of that. It seems to concentrate any changes within those quarters, which makes me, it indicates to me that there's perhaps not a desire for change outside the corridors in terms of land use, based on the focus of the existing plan. It's also a very unique way to do a future land use map, so
Right.
that's kind of tough. Normally, they look at the whole town.
You don't have a timeline on this, right? I mean, you're
No,
just
I
looking for a
wanted
way to move it
I
forward.
wanted to
correct?
start the conversation, because I think the town is going to need that in the future. It's going to increase the decrease taxes in the town, because there'll be more revenue coming in from real estate taxes. And we're not going to stop the development pressure. I mean, it's there, and the state has already, the LD 2003, that was their
Yeah.
instant solution, so. I mean, I would think, because even though, if it sort of aligns, and I don't even know how it would align with the comprehensive plan, because I'm sure the comprehensive plan probably just forwarded older language into describing these zones, reserved for farming and forest agriculture kind of activities, where there's not a lot of that going on now. Now, there's still some big parcels that I was saying, and there's a lot of tree farm and forest agriculture in the town of Waterboro. But I don't see how this would change that.
The most difficult part of this, I believe, is going to be get community feedback.
Exactly, yeah.
And what better
I mean-
way than do a referendum?
Well, I mean, it sounds to me like we're at a crossroads with our process anyway, right? If we're supposed to be looking at the comprehensive plan every 10 years, here we are, right? And so your request kind of aligns with what would move forward with the comprehensive plan. It sounds like a good committee for you.
I second that motion.
Steve's the chair.
But it sounds to me like your timing is appropriate based on bigger picture things where this kind of fits into it. I agree with you that I don't think it should be a segment of 7 residents of this town that make this decision for
Right.
thousands. Do you know what I mean? And
Right.
I think that if we can find the best way to make it publicly accessible versus not in 1-hour meetings on a Wednesday night that you need to find agendas for, that if you have a plan that is broadcast and there's, opportunity to participate, right, in the discussion, And then you're able to move forward, but you do it in a very public way where people are able to contribute to it and voice their opinion, and they don't feel bamboozled when they go into a poll and do get that referendum in order to change,
Well, do you think that this could be accomplished by an amendment to the comprehensive plan instead of redoing the entire comprehensive plan? Because that's a huge,
I don't know
it
what
takes
the-
forever
I don't know
to
what
get
the
through.
process is.
Yeah, I don't either.
Well, I think that's tricky to answer because we don't know what the legislators are going to
Right.
change with the growth management law this session. We know there's 2 bills, each proposing a different set of changes for it, which will change how comp plans are written. We don't know, if one bill's gonna be chosen or the other, if it's gonna be some combination of the two, if neither. So it's tricky. I will say
Well,
given
right,
how,
with the current comprehensive
yeah,
plan, could there be an amendment that amends that based on a citizen's initiative by an article?
I believe the answer technically is yes. I think with a 10-year outdated plan and how fast the regions changed, it would feel a little bit like a Band-Aid
But that's fine.
than,
But then that could be carried over in, 3 or 4 years down the road where, the committee gets together and reevaluates the comprehensive plan. And maybe they would decide to change it back, but like I said, I don't see an awful lot of negatives with this.
yeah, I think it's a question of, it's gonna be, the amendment would probably entail, right, looking at the future land use mapping part. And how do you do that if you don't have the updated data from all of the inventory chapters that guide that discussion? So if it was like one of the, say the hospitality and tourism chapter that really needed updating, I'd say, yeah, amendment, update the data, great. But when you're updating like the implementation chapter of the plan, it feels a little hard to make that just an amendment. I'm not saying it's impossible, but just, that's food for thought and how I'm
If it
thinking.
does get into the warrant as an article and it passes,
Who on the board is an FNA or A&R? Any of you guys?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm in A&R.
My family is,
Right.
yes.
You're in what?
A&R,
A&R.
2 places in A&R.
So I got some timing for you. It was started to be worked on in 2010, and it was finalized in spring 2015. It was like 5 years.
Gotcha.
Yes, that sounds right. Thanks, Dave.
They could write the article, but then forward it to the select board, they could put it on the ballot, but I'm not sure if we want to go that way, if we want to ask him to collect signatures, and
Right, yeah, I don't know what the,
I'm not sure the number of signatures, if he was to start a citizen's petition.
right,
I'm not sure how many signatures he would need.
right.
Probably Nancy
I
would be the best one
think,
to
yeah,
answer that.
I
right?
think they had to have, like, what was it, the last one, they had to have, show a mock-up of what it would look like. And then, I think it was like 250 signatures. I think it was a decent amount of signatures.
Oh, you had to have the wording of what the
Yep,
article.
the
would
wording
look
of what it would look like. The last
Yep.
one was a potential ordinance.
like. Right, right.
So they had to have a mock-up of what it looked like, the petition with all the signatures in order to push it to a warrant.
Yeah, I don't know what the process is. I agree with your approach that it should be everybody that has a say in it, so I'm not in disagreement with you, that aspect. I just, sounds like it's maybe not necessarily going to, 5-year period. If we follow the same trajectory as we did the last time, then we're talking about another 5 years before we have another comprehensive plan, so I get that that's not ideal, so there has to be another way. I just don't know what your best way is.
Well, the current ordinance allows for amendments. I just don't know if this would be considered an amendment. I would think it'd be an amendment.
Yes, it allows amendments. The amendment has to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. So that's the big
Then
question.
Here it comes full circle.
Mhm.
So we need to find out how exactly it affects the comprehensive plan before anything else, really, is what you're saying.
Mhm.
Right, so start there. And I think the transparency, everybody's agreeing to that, but making sure that everyone affected is informed.
Right.
I don't know how we, other than Angela going door knocking to and handing out, proposals, I just, that's the thing that bothers me, or that would be a
So-
concern.
So if it were to go to a public hearing scenario, I know that when you have, somebody come into public hearing here and there's an abutter, then all of the abutters get notice. Is there a possibility of anybody who's in that zone receiving a similar notice?
Yep.
You know what I mean? Where they
Right.
got something where they physically had to go be aware of it.
Is that how we'd like to start, is to send maybe a mass mailing for
Yeah.
everybody in the F&A zone
And-
that
yeah.
owns property in that?
And maybe not have, or maybe have I don't know the officialness of all of this, but have some sort of public hearing inviting those people to hear what their feedback would be.
We'd have
It's
to.
quite it'd be quite a mailing.
It'd be quite a, I mean, it would take some time to put the
Yeah.
mailing together, but I mean, between the multiple social media outlets we
Yeah.
have, fortunately, we've been able to utilize the fire department sign, and we've been able to hijack some of the reader boards around town to project messages and.
What about this? What if you were to find, I don't know, say the 5 largest landowners in there, or 5 landowners that you know, and we invite them, specifically, just to get a sample group of people in the zone? I mean,
Have you done that with anybody in particular?
Like I said, I get questioned about every survey that I do in the F&A zone.
well, right, but those are people who want to do something different. Have you
They
gone
want to
and
do
talked-
something,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
right.
but have
That's
you
right.
ever talked to somebody just in the zone that it isn't looking to do
No,
something to get there?
no.
Yeah.
I
So-
think, I'm sorry, I think in fairness, maybe a mass mailing is a great idea.
Yeah, give everybody the
So that way,
opportunity.
they could either send us a letter
Yep.
back, or
Yep.
perhaps send us a letter back.
Even
or-
an email,
or
a phone
Yeah,
call,
communicate
or
with us,
something.
yeah, just requesting.
How
their
about,
feedback.
just, don't we do articles like in local newspapers, or even on the Waterboro site, you could put up a notice, public hearing on possible zone change, and set a public hearing?
I
I think
don't
that's,
still-
I think that's the second step to this.
Yeah,
Oh,
you'd
that's
still
a
have to
second-
notify every
I
single
I think
person.
similar to if you have somebody next door to you that wants to make a change, I think it is only appropriate for us to notify those people that could be impacted by this holistically, that they have the opportunity to speak early on about this, so that if there's something we're not thinking of here that has serious impact on somebody there, it'd be good to know that early on, so that we
Yes.
can adjust things.
Is it-
It's my recommendation, first, not worded as a public hearing, but
Yeah.
a public input section.
Sure, yep.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, like,
Yeah,
I don't know how
yeah,
you have to
just
word it.
looking to receive public input
Yep.
regarding.
Yep,
Rather it be
Yep.
via mailing.
yeah, you put an
Yeah.
email
You
address,
have to
mailing
open it
address,
up.
yep.
Is that something the board would like to do, is move in that direction?
I think it's,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
it's a good next step. I
Yeah,
mean,
get input, feedback, and then,
And see who shows up.
If there's
That's
people
right.
out there that have this concern, like you're saying, and have interest in this, I don't think it's our place to say, we don't want to hear them. I think we do want to hear them, but I agree with Rebecca. We've got to bring everyone in.
mhm.
yeah.
Because, and we talked about this the last time this came up. You have somebody that's got certain acres, they don't think the neighbor can, build something closer to their property line, or they don't have to look at them, or whatever. This changes all of that. So I think that that's key when, that could change for somebody that thinks that they have a view of the meadow where the deer frolic, and then they're looking at a house.
Yeah, but the only real big change in this is the density. The setbacks are still you know.
I understand, I
Yeah.
still think there's situations still can happen though.
Yeah, the uses are different also.
Yeah,
So-
the uses are gonna impact
They
a
can-
few.
Right, unless we're picking and choosing where we're changing that, and I don't wanna do that.
Right.
Well, I guess that's what I need to figure out, what are the uses that would not be allowed in the A&R zone that are currently allowed?
I think it's the other way around.
That are allowed in the F and A that aren't allowed.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant.
It's, yeah, it's pretty, I think it's very difficult if you could allow somebody to maybe write a letter and you're gonna get more input than you're
Right.
going to get if you put a public forum out. Some
They're all
people
clusters and
don't like to come speak public.
Multifamilies and
Yeah, I
stuff.
agree.
Mm.
Yeah, I think it's a good place to start.
And a motion?
Oh, yeah, that's right. So can I have a motion for us to begin the process of evaluating potential zoning changes? First step to be a communication to everybody that is in the F and A zone, asking for their feedback in regards to changes to the zone. Modify that immediately for the minutes.
I motion that.
Okay.
There you go. I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Sure. Just couldn't remember all that.
This is gonna be a replay,
Yeah.
couple, a few times over.
Yeah.
Or office staff.
Sound good?
Yeah, I'm fine with anything at this point.
Yeah.
Like I said, I wanted to start the conversation and figure out the right way to do this.
Yeah. Yeah, gives us all an opportunity to
Huh?
brush up on it and,
All right,
What's
you know,
supposed to
take a look
be?
at it and figure it out, so. Yeah,
We're gonna send that regular mail, right?
Yeah, we're not sending the survey.
yeah, no.
Okay.
So then we have to kind of discuss what that's going to look like, you know, as far as the mailing is
The letter
concerned.
itself,
Mm.
right.
Steve, since this is your idea, you wanna come up with a potential
Letter.
mailing?
a letter?
Well, what have you got here in writing?
Something that we want to have in the letter, right? What?
It sounds like your end goal is really to address limitations in the F and A zone, and that may or may not look like turning it completely
Right,
into the A&R
into something
zone.
different, right, yeah.
So I might have a more broad approach, because I think saying like changes to F and A
Yeah.
zone perhaps, rather than promoting it as only changing F
One
and
or
A
the
zone
other.
to A and R, might be a less, yeah, a more palatable approach.
Well, it's more realistic, right? I
And more
mean,
realistic, yeah.
Because it may not be that it is an all or none, it may be just modifications to what exists in order to make it more usable, so.
Well, the big ones that I run into are basically the setbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, the density is another thing,
Yeah.
but, so we'd really be changing just three of the components of that zone to align more with the F and A zone. Now, again, the uses I haven't dug into yet to
Yeah.
see, but I cannot imagine that there's many differences. Am I wrong?
There's a couple.
There's a few, yeah. Residential's handled a little bit differently. Resource extraction's handled a little bit differently.
What do you mean by resource extraction?
Mining.
Mining. Okay.
So we got a lot of
Gravel
mine-
extraction.
Gravel bits.
Oh, gravel pits. Oh, boy.
Uh-huh. I was waiting for that real.
Skipped right over that one.
Changes things a little, doesn't it?
So no gravel pits outside of the F and or the farm and agriculture zone. Is that correct?
It would be you'd just have to you'd have to review the usage table, obviously. In
Right.
this, you could restrict certain commercial activities, it's not.
I mean,
You could add a few more uses to the F&A zone and call it something different. I mean, it's up to, well, you could continue to call it. Yeah.
Right, right. Yeah, so maybe it is
We can amend it.
maybe it's
And amend
an
it.
additional zone, you know what I mean, like some modification there.
Primarily, the F&A zone now limits a lot of commercial activity.
Yeah. Marijuana. Went down that road already.
Yeah.
It's only allowed on the bit in the corridor,
Yeah.
even in the AR zone.
Yeah.
so Steve's gonna come up with the actual
Letter?
mailing, and I'm gonna come up with the list.
We should just review it at the next meeting and
Right.
get ready for the mailing.
Any idea on the amount of people we're talking? No idea.
Oh,
2,500.
How much time are we gonna give them to respond before we have the info?
Let's come up with
meeting?
a letter first.
I think we're gonna have to give them, we're gonna have to give them some time.
Well, I don't know if I need to include
30
that in the
days.
letter.
Yeah, at least 30.
At least
30
30,
days.
because you've got some that are out of state, and
Yeah.
right now, the way the postal service is with the mail is very,
And then maybe some advertisements in the reporter and everything about watch the mail for this, or you should be getting a letter, or whatever. Or call Ange.
That doesn't work.
If you can't reach her at the office, her cell phone number is.
I'm shutting my office door.
Her address is.
Yes. She lives at the following residence.
The mailer should probably have a map on it,
Right,
so,
because they're not gonna understand probably.
yeah. Is that something that,
We've got one here.
you have one, you can use it, right?
We can
You
just
mean
highlight
include
that.
include the current zoning then?
Yeah.
Right.
And highlight where the change would be, yeah.
And maybe each usage map, or each usage table, excuse me,
Included as well.
Should be, that makes sense, yeah.
goes for feedback. The biggest thing's gonna be retaining feedback. I mean, because unfortunately, not a lot of people nowadays they have an opinion, but it doesn't necessarily make it to the town hall.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm worried about the one that's gone.
Can't be any worse than the one we got.
Okay.
Moving right along.
Okay.
I think we're good for now, right?
Yep.
So I guess I'm done.
Yep.
All right, well, thanks.
Thank you.
I'm sure I'll see you in the future. I've got a couple other projects.
Yes.
Can't wait, Steve.
Me neither.
All right. Next on the agenda, minutes of previous meetings, which we don't have. Communication?
Well, as you can see, these weren't supposed to arrive until tomorrow, but they came in today, so, the town of Waterboro Public Works Building plans have arrived. They will be coming April 2nd, for their first initial
What is this?
crack.
That gives us 10 minutes.
We've all been going through them pretty heavily,
You have to have the process though.
so.
It's, so we will have to have that. It's the process.
All right, next is miscellaneous. To add.
Yeah, I guess as far as miscellaneous, we're doing some work around 200 Main Street, and we were kind of, well, as far as the code office anyway, we were kind of in a quandary how this should actually be reviewed moving forward
Yep.
with Mr. Alf's contract and contract zone and the development there. So I reached out to Lee J, I reached out to Ben, the town attorney, and got two different answers. Lee J had stated, just as we kind of assumed that maybe it should be viewed as just a subdivision. Then when I spoke to Ben McCall, he stated that we should do both reviews simultaneously for your site review, site plan,
Yeah,
and also subdivision. So both criteria should be met at the same time, so we go through the whole process.
That's how we reviewed the sketch plan, was both.
I was kind of uncertain as to how
Yeah.
exactly legally we should move forward
Right,
with this. Because, and the other thing is there's a timetable. There's
Right.
a timetable on subdivision review. And with the plan unit development, which is how it's worded in our contract zone, there's also a statement in the ordinance that says, you know, the subdivision ordinance, we have 6 months for him to come back with his preliminary plan. In plan unit development, gives them an additional 60 days. So that's something for us to think about. So I wanted to be clear on how we move forward and make sure we get everything the way that it should be, you know? Heaven forbid we have a legal mess.
all right, if there's nothing else, take a motion to adjourn.
Make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor? All right. This nasty piece of paper.